Risk analysis and management is a critical component for us to consider right from the beginning of our planning and envisioning of future options for our organization as business analysts. Risk analysis and management involve the identification of threats and opportunities related to change initiatives that we might be designing and proposing, and developing response strategies to each of the threats and opportunities that we identify. Our efforts in this matter should be continuous in nature and should commence right at the start of our strategy analysis. It may seem like most of the threats that we'll face might be a problem for later on in our business analysis work, or even more aptly in the purview of project managers who might be responsible for actually implementing the solutions that we design and propose here. But the reality is most of the risks that we might face are ones that we can either avoid entirely through smart planning now, or by understanding at this point can help us to craft our solution in a manner that is most optimal for the risk factors and opportunities that are present. Similar strategies exist for both handling opportunities and threats. With opportunities, the range of options include exploiting the opportunity, sharing the opportunity, enhancing the opportunity, or simply accepting it. While from a threat perspective, we might seek to entirely avoid a potential threat factor. We may seek to transfer that threat to some other party. We may seek to mitigate the threat, or we might simply accept it as well. Some of the factors that we must consider in determining what strategy makes the most sense for us include our risk appetite. How valuable is the reward compared to the risk that we might incur? Our risk tolerance. What is the amount or degree of risk that we can withstand based on our organizational culture and what our key stakeholders believe to be prudent? And our risk threshold. What level of impact or uncertainty is considered intolerable? Is there some level of risk that we simply cannot have and we must come up with some sort of strategy to combat or simply not go in that direction at all? The correct balance will differ wildly depending on your particular stakeholders and decision makers, as well as the particulars of the opportunity or threat in question. When it comes to our opportunity strategies, we could seek to exploit an opportunity, actively looking for ways to take advantage of it. Or we might seek to share that opportunity, collaborating with a third party that's better positioned to take direct advantage so long as we can benefit as well. Examples of scenarios where we might seek to exploit an opportunity include creating a new product to serve a market, introducing an existing product to a new market of some sort, international expansion, offering our ability to reach customers we have not in the past, or cost savings through a process or technological overhaul that we've identified, some way that we know that we can improve upon our existing systems in a way from which we'll benefit. We might also find a way to increase our quality, longevity, or performance of our product. These are all opportunities we might seek to exploit as well. We could seek to share opportunities that include entering a joint venture with a complementary company so that we can work together using our combined expertise in order to take full advantage of the opportunity before us. We might offer a profit-sharing arrangement to a supplier, allowing them to share in the wealth, so long as they take on some of the risk that might be associated as well. We might seek to invest in another company rather than enter the market directly ourselves. This is especially true for larger enterprises that might have some interest in new emergent markets, but don't have the organizational resources or bandwidth necessary to embark on addressing that market themselves at this point. Finally, we might also seek to license our intellectual property to another organization, allowing them to bear any risks that might be involved while allowing us to profit along the way. Other opportunity-related strategies that might be appropriate include enhancing the opportunity, where we look for ways to increase the odds of positive opportunities or outcomes coming our way, as well as acceptance, where we might not take any additional action at all, but accept the benefits of the opportunity if it arises, no different than we might pick up a dollar bill we see floating down the street. When it comes to enhancing opportunities, we could increase our investment in a project that has good prospects. We might work more quickly to achieve a time-limited opportunity if we know that every day we continue to work, we're missing out on some of our potential benefit. We might allocate our very best resources to high-potential initiatives, knowing that doing so is going to allow us the best opportunity to enhance our chances of profiting. Something often overlooked, but often very valuable, is simply lending active and enthusiastic support to an effort as a leader. By showing that your full weight and your focus is behind an initiative, if you happen to be in that leadership role, you can help to move the organization in a more unified manner toward that particular opportunity. As a business analyst, you can often communicate to these sorts of decision makers and leaders how critical their support might be. And by showing them how this might enhance an opportunity for the organization, you can help to ensure their vocal support. When it comes to simply accepting an opportunity, examples might include ensuring that production remains in line with demand, agreeing to lower prices that a supplier has offered us without us negotiating them at all, acknowledging the increased performance of team members. Great job, everyone. Or simply retaining an existing solution rather than seeking to replace it. This might be a hidden opportunity of sorts to not spend money or time or focus on replacing something that doesn't need fixing at the moment. Similar strategies exist for threats, as we mentioned. These include trying to avoid threats entirely, seeking to eliminate the cause of that risk or prevent it from having an impact on our change initiative. We may also seek to transfer a risk, shifting liability to a third party via some sort of mechanism. When it comes to avoiding a threat, we might seek to change the business's trajectory in order to evade potential risk factors entirely. We might replace a legacy system to ensure that we don't have any sort of disruption in service. We might revise policies and procedures in order to align with new regulatory requirements that have emerged. When it comes to transferring threats, we might purchase an insurance policy to cover our potential liabilities, or we might sign long-term pricing contracts with suppliers to ensure that we don't face any upside price risk moving forward. We might seek to outsource initiative work to contractors, knowing that we can pay them a fixed sum, and if they run over on cost, well, that's their problem more than it's ours. Or we might seek to introduce dynamic pricing to customers, passing along any increase in costs, or perhaps any decrease in costs that might occur to our customers instead. Of course, all of these strategies have potential positives and negatives associated with them, as would be the case for mitigating threats, where we seek to reduce the impact or probability of that risk having some sort of impact on us. Or simply accepting a threat, taking no additional action, but accepting that the impact of the risk could happen if that risk in fact does emerge. When it comes to mitigating threats, this could include creating contingency plans and considering any suboptimal scenarios if our development efforts were to go awry, building fail-safes into our new designs, and acquiring backup equipment. In some cases, we might maintain legacy systems as a fallback, or run systems concurrently through a testing phase to ensure that everything related to a new solution is working as intended. When it comes to accepting a threat, we may simply acknowledge that the possibility of system failure exists, and we might catalog unaddressed risks and note the potential impacts they might have. We might choose to take no action given that there's a low likelihood or a low impact for a particular risk to cause real trouble for our change initiative. Whatever the case might be, when it comes to determining our strategy for dealing with opportunities or with threats, we should ensure that we consciously make decisions for each of these known factors. It's bad enough that many risks will remain unidentified. There are things that we simply can't foresee. And so we have a responsibility when it comes to any potential threat that we can envision or any potential opportunity that we do identify to address these proactively, even if our conscious decision is to take no action at all. Strategies may shift as knowledge of risk, or our risk preferences shift over time. It could be that we become more tolerant of risk, that we learn more about the actual severity of a risk or the probability of it occurring. And it's perfectly normal for us to want to change our risk-bearing strategies at that point. This is why continuing risk management efforts throughout our business analysis lifecycle and beginning them right now at the beginning of strategy analysis is so critical. It allows us to maintain a constant check on the pulse of the threats and opportunities that might have the greatest impact on our change initiative success. Risk analysis and management is applicable to any risk or opportunity that we might encounter. Positive benefits are often incurred through the organization based on our business analysis risk management activities. Oftentimes, others in the organization may not have identified clear and present dangers or opportunities that have been sitting there waiting for us, like low-hanging fruit. By spending the time to analyze these, we can recommend courses of action that might have benefits well outside the purview of our change initiative alone. However, managing too wide an array of potential risks can inhibit our performance and our ability to keep close track as these risk factors might evolve. And not all risks are necessarily identified. This is why it's so important to continue the identification process throughout our business analysis and later potentially our work in project management. The more unknown risks we can convert into known risks, the better chance our change initiative has of achieving its objectives.